Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to some more Xenonauts 2. So, Scarlet's had a deep breath. He had his tanty, and now we're sort of back in business. Let's take stock of the situation. Right? Living capacity is still short up a bit, but all these capacities are pretty good. See, we still got the potential for a bit more power there. What could I hypothetically expand? I don't think I could get rid of a living capacity. That's only 7, you know? Yeah, I don't think I need to min-max this any harder. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't really know how much... Well, how much does a generator give you? Does it tell you? Plus 80. And then 50 for each adjacency. So if I were to delete that, if I'm reading that right, I'd lose 180 power, which is not good. That would brick me. Yeah, I think that's as good as it's going to get, to be honest, which works for me just fine. UFO hull plating to improve our armor. Oh, yeah? Advanced mid kit. Auto mid module. Probably want both of those, right? Well, hang on. So we still haven't gotten this thing built. We need more alloys, right? So I say we start saving money. So we stop the research for now. How's our planes looking? I could speed that for 200 grand. I might just do that, to be honest. Disgusting as that is. Oh, wrong base. Just get her up and running. Advanced mid kit. The other thing's 250, is it? Okay. Let's keep an eye on that. Spacebar. Okay, spacebar pauses. I need to keep that in mind. There we go. That's handy. That's handy dandy. Alright. Auto mid. Module. Not sure I'm convinced those bloody Mars things are so useful. Alright, let's start building out the second base. Hangars are pretty cheap if I recall, right? 100 grand. Oh, here we go. What's the damage here? Let's go get him, big boys. What have I even got on my planes? Torpedoes. So we got a bit of a mix. It probably makes the most sense. It's fairly all-rounder, you know? What am I doing? Oh, I haven't launched the interceptors. Go get them, boys. Auto resolve. That's not good. Shit. Abductor. Everyone just dump all your ordnance on him. Nah. Oh god, this guy needs to retreat. Which one are you? Oh mate, I'm never gonna get this thing killed. Oh! Bugger that. Get out of this, son. This bloke's committed. My god. Well, at least I managed to retreat 2 of them. Well, I'm absolutely outgunned. That's not good. Panic is and Asia's not good. Yeah, I see that. I can see that. What would you like me to do about it, game? What are they doing? Hang on a sec. Bloody... Stay away from me base, mate. What is this? Oh my god. Bugger this, run away, both of you. God, that's so fiddly. Ugh. Just go hide in the corner, boys. Missile battery should be able to take care of this. Oh, I thought he was coming for me base. Huh. Asia's not looking great. I need 400 grand for a radar, right? $369.12. 50. Oh no. I don't think I can save Asia. What is actually, look at this, it's just going ballistic in Australia. Mate, are we going to brick at the exact same spot? It seems that way, doesn't it? Penetration 25 armor, damage 25. Penetration 0 armor, damage 40. Inflict high damage and destroy large amounts of armor, but have very limited ammo. Alright, they sort of strip armor. Can be invaluable when facing heavily armored UFOs. Yeah, I don't know. The info is just not clear enough. But what is this? The aliens have constructed an outpost on our planet. Although we don't know the exact purpose of this installation, we should attempt to destroy it as soon as possible. Where is it? Oh, it's in bloody Australia. Oh, Christ. Why would you build it there too? What are you going to do? Go live in one of the mining towns. I don't know if we can save Asia. Well, he just disappeared there. Hmm. 8 days to bring the panic down. I don't think it can be done. Get your refunds while you can, mate. Don't suppose I can refund a base. Think she's gonna pop, baby. Geez, we might brick here. Europe, Africa, Soviets. Alright, so let's say we're gonna construct a new base altogether. I'd probably do something like this. Insufficient funds. Oh, it's 750,000. For some reason my brain said 600. So, hang on, what's the problem? I think I've been out-teched. What's it called? Plane-wise? UFO hull plating, here we go. Combat data suggests that armoured extraterrestrial craft demonstrate an impressive level of resistance to conventional air-to-air weaponry. Laboratory analysis of their hull plating reveals how this is achieved. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the primary factor is the specific composition of the alien alloys used to construct the armour. The addition of various trace elements appears to collectively increase the durability of the plating by over 50% relative to unadulterated samples. This information is immensely valuable to our own war effort. There are an almost unimaginable number of alloy permutations, and it would take many decades for us to identify the optimal mixture through experimentation alone. Thankfully, our enemies have done the work for us. Furthermore, microscopic analysis of the chemical structure of the plating reveals the molecules are compressed together in incredibly tight lattices, akin to a material like diamond. When formed into plates of armour, these hardened alloys are so strong that conventional munitions frequently glance off rather than penetrate. It has proved possible to imperfectly reproduce this hardened effect by quenching and tempering the substance under extreme high pressures, creating alloy samples with far greater mechanical performance than any we have previously fabricated. These advances can be applied to our own designs immediately and should allow for construction of a new generation of protective equipment. How exciting. Assign research. Guardian battle armor, that sounds cool. So do we have new things I can build yet or what? Alloy plating. on our vehicles. Increase survivability. Oh, yeah? Why is that same research thing in 2 different areas? Angel alloy plating. That's what we want, baby. But I don't have any alloys. I'm so short on alloys, it's not funny. Righto. Are all my troops sorted at the moment? Maybe, sort of, kind of. Nope. Because we had that wipe. Alright, get a shield at the front. We get a grenadier down the bottom. We get... How do you feel about being an assault? Got no warden armor for you. Okay. Strength 48. We're going to need more than that. 52. 66. Here we go. $37. Oh man, it just gets laughable at a certain point. How did you even get through basic? Alright. Alright. Defender armor. How much for the aiming doodaki? Automated module. Are they all 12? Oh, okay. Mate, how weak are you? Well, guess it'll have to be. Maybe strip all this out. Yeah. No rifle for you, apparently. Four. Mate, we're struggling. I've been dumpstered in some of the fights though, hey. And, you know, not that I'm going to whinge about it too much, but I feel like things have gone against me pretty badly in some of those fights. Sniper. I mean, just mag it up, baby. Alright, that'll have to do for now. Surgical center. And the chances of surviving casualties are increased as well. Right. Uh-oh. There goes Asia. Oh man, I got like no funding. Yeah, so this is not good. So I think ultimately we've gone worse. We interrogated a Mentarch in our first attempt. So we've gotten worse probably by... I mean, what did I do differently? Mostly I've tunneled into one base and balled right up and built it up, which, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. We've learnt a lot from it. But we've let... One thing, I didn't realize how the cleaners worked, so we could have probably tried to deal with the cleaners earlier to keep that panic down. But that's the other thing as well, like I'm not shooting down as many UFOs. And even the UFOs that I am engaging with, like even with my 3 interceptors in the hangar, I am absolutely outclassed in the arms race. You know what I mean? So I'm not necessarily against the sort of income loop I've built with the engineers and research and that sort of thing. That sort of works. Panic in Africa is getting critical. However, we need to find a hybrid between the first and this playthrough. You know what I mean? I do need to spread out my bases, and I do need to have more like interceptors up and running. I suppose I stopped researching a lot, and I've really lost out in the arms race. But here's the thing, like, to be perfectly candid, and as someone who refuses to save scum, right? I think that's cheating. It's using a mechanic that's necessary because we're humans. You have to get up and go to work and pick up your kids from school and go take a shit. Because of all of this sort of stuff, there needs to be a mechanic to walk away from the game on a meta level, and that's called saving. So anyone that exploits that is objectively a scumbag, right? That's why you call it save scumming. You're using a mechanic to make the game enjoyable and usable in real life, and then you're exploiting it to get an edge in the game, right? The lowest of the low, save scum. And the problem is, I've come across a few games in my time that are actually objectively designed for save scumming in mind. Rebel Cops comes to mind. That's a kind of cool game, and it's designed, it's probably the only one I can think of that's designed overtly where you're supposed to save scum. It even says so in the notes and all that sort of stuff. So that one gets a slight pass. But the problem is, I feel like, I had that wipe recently, and that might have been the nail in the coffin of this run. But I also feel like I've had a couple of bad deaths and all that sort of stuff. And apart from, what am I trying to get at? Because I'm exploring this. This is less a rant and more sort of an unpacking and an exploration and a reflection. In a game that sort of advertises itself to be, you know, open, sandbox-ish, right? There should be multiple ways to victory, play your own way. It feels, the more I play this, it feels more and more that there is only one way to play it to win it, and you have to play it that way, right? You have to turtle, you have to walk 2 squares at a time and have 10 dudes doing Overwatch. You have to play this really miserable, unpleasant, slowly moving ball through the level kind of gameplay. Throwing a billion smoke grenades, and even the Overwatch, I don't know if that would necessarily work because those dudes are so accurate. But you know, the way I like to play, I like to run and gun a little bit more. I'm not super reckless, but I'm obviously not a bloody sook soy that sits in the corner. And I feel like I've been punished pretty hard for playing that way. I've lost a lot of dudes. I refuse to reload the save because I'm big on, if I make a mistake, then I own it. But like, as far as like misplays in this playthrough, this second playthrough, I can't really think of any really big ones that I've done, right? I've lost some dudes here and there. And to go full circle about the save scumming thing, it almost feels like the developers are expecting me to save scum. oh, I clicked this way and that dude died and I had a wipe. And the developers have designed it in such a way that perhaps it's not about being recoverable and it's more about they want me to just reload the save and do it again. And I hate that so much. It's just some thoughts, I'm muddling my way through the thoughts, but I think we're staring down the barrel of another wipe. I have to be able to, look at this. Communications disruption. This happened over here. The escalation is a little bit off as well. I think this is turning into a debrief, end of run sort of talk at the end, right? I suspect either we finish up the playthrough or we re-roll for a third run. I'd be curious to hear what people have to say on that. But even look at this pause screen that I'm doing. This escalation, these weird sort of waves that happen. And we saw it before when I was just getting mobbed with UFOs, right? And that's what's going on over here as well. Like, just earlier, you could rewind the video back to day 130 or something, and they were everywhere, and I couldn't deal with them. And that happened exactly the same time in the first playthrough, right? And this reminds me of when I was talking about how I feel the morale system doesn't seem to work. Like, 90% of your playthrough's going fine, or your tactical run is going fine, no one's dying or anything like that, and all of a sudden a whole bunch of your dudes will die and morale just wipes the rest of your squad. Again, I don't need to retread this, but my point is it's a mechanic that feels unbalanced in that by the time it kicks in, you've already lost your squad and all it's doing is rubbing salt in the wound. And that's what this feels like. Look at this. Look at all this shit popping up and just this escalation that's happening here. And it kind of feels like not even an exponential curve. It feels like at around day 130 or something like that, the game said, right, I'm not stuffing around anymore, time to end it. You haven't ended it, so I'm ending it. And it just goes berserk. Now, I'm also someone that's really fond of doom timers. I think they're kind of important. It's an unpopular opinion of a lot of people that play XCOM because it clearly attracts turtle-like mentality and behavior. And one of the biggest complaints people have with XCOM 2, and I think it's one of the strongest things about XCOM 2, is the fact that every level has a time limit on it. And you have to sort of move through. You can't be a sook and sit in the corner playing with yourself. You have to move on the objectives and get going. And because at a certain point, sitting in the corner just overwatching non-stop is kind of exploiting, right? You're waiting for the weak AI to make a misstep and you're trying to exploit that. You're not really engaging with the game. You're sitting in the corner. There's a lot of reasons why I think turtling is just cancer. And I think a lot of people on a subconscious level are attracted to turtling because they kind of know that it's a little bit of an unfair advantage. It's a finger on the scale. Like, they probably don't overtly know it, but they've intuited, oh, hey, if I sit back here and refuse to engage with the AI, it'll make a misstep and I can just turtle my way to victory. And like save scumming, I think people need to resist the urge to do that. Anyway, so all I was getting at is I think that was one of the coolest things. I like doom timers. I like timers that push you forward through the experience. But the problem here is there's no overt doom timer, which is okay, but just even looking while I'm sitting here, I'm in just normal speed. The amount of crap just ramping all of this up is insane. So it's an exponent curve to the nth degree, where the game says, no, we've passed day 150, I've had enough, it's time for you to die. So I don't really like that. It's interesting. And I wonder if you're going to have a lot of people come away from this with a bit of a sour taste in their mouth. In that, like, how many episodes is this second run? Are we on like 13 or 14 or something? So what's that, 7 hours? Let's say 6-7 hours. If after 6-7 hours of feeling like you've got a good foothold and then the game just smashing you, you're gonna upset a lot of your base, I think. And the closest comparison I can think of are the new XCOMs, XCOM 1 and 2 and all that. And if I recall, I haven't played them in a while, but I played the crap out of them when they came out. You'd be restarting and getting smashed in the opening hour or two routinely, right? You'd see the writing on the wall early. And yeah, I guess that's the thing when it's a game it's not a roguelike, but it's almost run-based. You got to be careful killing your player off 6-8 hours in. And, you know, for an example, I know I'm really ranting, but this is turning into a debrief review, right? So bear with me. But like, consider, now in hindsight, this run was bricked 60 days ago, surely. Regardless of the bad luck that I had or anything, clearly the way that I've built my base and lack of extra bases and technology, like the damage was done 4 hours of playtime ago, probably. And sitting here with that realization and the game never really telegraphing that, it's a bit mean, don't you think? Yeah, anyway, just some thoughts on the end. I hope it doesn't come across as whinging, because whinging is more when I rant about mechanics and all that sort of stuff. This is more a reflection on the run. Funnily enough, to compare it to Aliens Dark Descent. Aliens Dark Descent, for all of its issues, for all of its bugs, of which there were a shitload, and they were game breaking at some points, its actual balance, and I was playing it on hard, but the balance and the progress of the narrative and the way we moved through it was actually fairly well paced. For such a long game, I felt that the pace and people, it's, you know, obviously pace is a little bit different here because I'm not talking strictly narrative, it's a video game. But still, I think you understand the gameplay flow and pace, power escalation, all that was pretty solid. And here it feels off. What it feels like is if you want to get past day 150, you need to look up some sweaty YouTuber that's not me that plays on Iron Man mode, or you need to look up a Reddit thread, and you have to do it a very specific way and build things very specifically, and then push through. And I don't really like that. Anyway, just a thought. I'm not necessarily butthurt or trying to cope or anything like that, and I'm not turned off of the game. But it's one of those things, if you were ever going to take a moment to reflect, it should be at the end of a run, right? And I don't really do reviews on the channel, so this would be the closest thing to it. So where would we go from here? Well, if I were to play it again, and I don't know, maybe we need a breather in between, that sort of thing. There's obviously some missing content as well, and at a certain point, I know it says in-game progress 10%, and that's because of the way I chose to run this second time. But we've kind of gotten into a lot of end-game content here anyway, with the cleaners and that sort of thing, and I wonder if we're just asking for trouble if I do another run straight away milking this early access content. It might be better off to say, well, we've enjoyed our time with it, which I have. I actually really have. But maybe put it on the shelf and give it a chance to get developed a bit more out of early access. Just some thoughts. But yeah, anyway, I've enjoyed my time with it. I suppose the cruelest thing is that the developers are very, very clearly have certain, what I think are unpleasant design decisions, specifically with the prefabs, with the way that they have the ships crash down and they're just impenetrable. I think that's inexcusable in a game that seems to pride itself on fully destructive environments, to funnel you into a boss fight at the end of each level. That's what it is. It's a boss fight in an indestructible room that has its own rules. It doesn't play by the rules laid out, and then you have to play it a certain way. And then you compare it to exactly what I was just reflecting on to put a nice little bow on this. It seems to get to the end of the game, truly there is an intended way to play it that the developers want you to play, much like the analogy or the comparison of assaulting spaceships and all that. So that would be my really quick blurb review of this game. At first blush, appears that you can play it many different ways, and then upon further scrutiny, there is only one way to play this game, and it's the way that developers intended. And if you do play it the other ways, you're going to play for hours, brick, and probably come away a bit sour. So there are my thoughts. So yeah, so where do we go from here? Well, I think I've convinced myself maybe to hang it up. But no hard feelings. Here's the truth though, on a more meta level, they didn't patch the first game for 8 years. The first game's still riddled with terrible broken bugs. This was supposed to go into full access now. This was supposed to go into release 5 years ago, I believe. and yet now it's been delayed 5 years and it's gone into early access, right? And it's still got a lot of holdover issues, whether developer design issues or otherwise, from the first game. So what am I saying? I'm saying I'd love to wait for this game to change, but if going off their track record and the way that they supported the first game as a studio, I don't know, man. I wouldn't be surprised if another 5 to 8 years passes and this game barely changes. Obviously, we're in launch week and that sort of stuff, so they're going to touch it up and look after it. And they have some more walking around money. This time they're published by Hooded Horse, which are really making a name for themselves in this space. So that might make a difference if they've got a publisher to bring them to heel and also give them some fuck you money. So that might be different. But yeah, my concern is maybe we don't actually ever play this again because it might just languish in early access for a decade, much like the first game did. But that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy my time with it this time around. In fact, I really did. And a lot of you have stuck with me both playthroughs, and I'm glad you have. And it seems like, you know, notwithstanding when I do rant, in the scheme of things, it's only a small percent of the time that I play that I get on the rant. I think for the most part, you know, you guys have been on board with me and on the same page. So it's been a pretty cool little run. Anyway, maybe we do a full opinion on that there. I think that's probably a pretty organic place to finish up. Team, let me know what you think. Where do we go from here? I'll take suggestions as well, you know. I'm not against playing more games in this genre. Maybe we crack out the new XCOMs as well. It wouldn't be a bad transition time to go into it. Phoenix Point even, that sort of stuff. Maybe I mentioned, you know, Phantom Brigade, Battletech, the more mech warrior ones. But I'm open to suggestions, or maybe we just pivot to another genre altogether. You know, we've got things like Homeseek on the table, which seems pretty promising. All right, well, anyway, enough waffling, enough ranting. But yeah, I took a little bit of artistic license at the end because we're finishing up, and it's been a good run. I hope you guys agree. Team, we might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.